Fernando Alonso's recent record, one victory in over 180 races, might raise eyebrows, but it barely scratches the surface of this legend's career. While modern fans may overlook him in debates about F1's greatest, those who witness Alonso in his prime know a different narrative. That's because the Fernando Alonso they saw in his prime is far different from the Alonso we see today. So, just how good was Alonso during his prime? Well, let's travel back to the early 2000s to find out. The year was 2001 when a young Spaniard stepped into the cockpit of a Minardi, a team that wasn't in the conversation of winning races because of how far behind they were. For most rookies, this would be a baptism of fire, a season of obscurity. But Alonso was cut from a different cloth. Even though he didn't score any points that year, people could see his talent. He could make the bad Minardi car perform better than it should have. This caught the attention of Flavio Briatore, the big man in charge of the operations at Renault F1. With an eye for talent as sharp as his tailored suit, Briatore saw in Alonso not just potential, but as a future champion. A test drive role in 2002 was merely a formality. By 2003, Alonso where he belonged, in a race seat, ready to set the world alight. And set it alight he did. At the 2003 Malaysia GP, Alonso showed just how good he was.
Watch out for Michael Schumacher behind Alonso, who's got away brilliantly. Here's your race leader, still going strong. Fernando Alonso on lap 7.
If Renault wanted to win this race, they've gone about it the wrong way. They've set this car up more for qualifying than for this race.
There is Fernando Alonso. Look how happy he is to finish third.
In that race, the youngest pole sitter in F1 history, but he wasn't done rewriting the record books. Hungary beckoned, and with it, destiny.
Phenomenal performance from the young Spaniard, and Fernando Alonso wins his first Grand Prix, and he becomes the youngest man ever to win a Formula One Grand Prix. And what a remarkable weekend!
This served as a notice to the old guard that a new era was dawning. But these were mere preludes to the symphony Alonso would compose in 2005 and 2006. Piloting the Renault R25 in 2005, Alonso was a revelation. At just 24, he displayed a maturity beyond his years, blending blistering pace with a strategic mind that often left his rivals scratching their heads. Race after race, he built his championship campaign with the precision of a master architect. From the twisting streets of Monaco to the blinding speed of Monza, Alonso adapted and conquered. His driving style was a thing of beauty, smooth, precise, making the car an extension of his will. He didn't just overtake, he crafted passing moves that left spectators breathless and competitors in awe. As the season progressed, it became clear F1 was witnessing the birth of a legend. The numbers tell part of the story: 7 wins, 15 podiums, 6 pole positions, and 133 championship points. But they failed to capture the artistry of Alonso's craft, the way he could make a 700 horsepower beast of a car dance through corners as if it were on rails. When he clinched the title, becoming the youngest world champion in F1 history, it wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a changing of the guard. But greatness isn't defined by a single season. As 2006 dawned, all eyes were on Alonso. Could he repeat the feat? The pressure was immense, made more so by the resurgence of Michael Schumacher, who was determined to reclaim his crown in what was announced as his final season. What unfolded was a season-long duel for the ages: youth versus experience, the future of F1 versus its most decorated champion. Alonso rose to the challenge magnificently. His 2006 campaign mirrored the previous year with an almost poetic symmetry: 7 wins, 14 podiums, 6 pole positions, and 134 points. But these statistics, impressive as they are, only hint at the intensity of the battle.
Here comes Alonso, the new world champion. Back-to-back world championships for him.
Well done.
Thank you guys, thank you. Thank you.
As Alonso crossed the line in Brazil to secure his second title, he achieved more than just personal glory. At 25, he became the youngest double world champion in F1 history. These 2 years weren't just successful, they were transformative, both for Alonso and for the sport itself. But since then, Alonso hasn't been able to add another title to his name. However, to say his prime was limited to his championship-winning seasons of 2005 and 2006 would be to miss the bigger picture of his remarkable career. The prime Alonso era lasted until 2012. During this extended period, he showcased a level of skill, consistency and adaptability that cemented his place among the sport's all-time greats.
Remarkably, Fernando Alonso wins a Malaysian Grand Prix. He takes the victory.
This is one of the most beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful. We are so proud of you. So proud of you and of the team.
Even as new stars like Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel emerged, Alonso's brilliance continued to shine brightly. Since the end of 2006, Alonso has added 17 more victories to his tally, but it's the near misses that truly highlight his enduring class. In 2007, 2010 and 2012, he came agonizingly close to clinching that elusive third world title, each time falling short in the final races of the season. While Hamilton and Vettel have gone on to amass multiple championships, Alonso's performances during this period were no less impressive. In fact, many in the paddock would argue that Alonso's ability to challenge for titles in arguably inferior machinery was a display of driving skill that few could match. At the heart of Alonso's dominance during his prime was his blistering one-lap pace. His qualifying performances were nothing short of extraordinary. From 2005 to 2012, across different teams and vastly different cars, Alonso maintained an average starting position of 4.5. This consistency, spanning such a long period and through so many changes, speaks volumes about his adaptability and raw speed. Alonso's qualifying laps were masterclasses in precision and control. He had an uncanny ability to string together perfect sectors, hitting every apex with millimeter precision and extracting every thousandth of a second from his car. His style wasn't always spectacular, you'd rarely see opposite locks or dramatic slides, but it was devastatingly effective. One standout moment came at the 2006 British Grand Prix. In tricky, changeable conditions that caught out many of his rivals, Alonso delivered a lap over a second faster than anyone else. It was a performance that combined raw speed with an almost supernatural ability to read the track conditions, showcasing Alonso's talent for delivering when the pressure was highest. But Alonso's qualifying prowess wasn't just about pole positions. His consistent top 5 starts meant he was always in the mix, always ready to pounce on others' mistakes or execute aggressive race strategies. This ability to set himself up for success on Saturdays was a key factor in his sustained competitiveness. As Alonso moved from Renault to McLaren and then to Ferrari, his qualifying performances continued to impress. He showed remarkable adaptability, quickly getting to grips with each new car's quirks. This was particularly evident in 2009 when he returned to a struggling Renault team. Despite the car's limitations, Alonso still managed to secure a pole position at the Hungarian Grand Prix. His years at Ferrari from 2010 to 2012 saw Alonso consistently qualifying well despite often not having the fastest car on the grid. Up against the dominant Red Bulls, he regularly put his Ferrari in positions from which he could challenge for victories. Fernando Alonso's career in Formula 1 is filled with amazing races, but 3 stand out as truly special. These races defined the Alonso prime era and showed how he could perform best when it mattered most. Let's start with the 2005 San Marino Grand Prix. This race was a big moment in Alonso's first year as champion. The young Alonso found himself racing against Michael Schumacher, the most successful driver at that time. As the race neared its end, Alonso was in the lead, but Schumacher was catching up fast with newer tyres. What happened in the last 12 laps was incredible. Schumacher tried everything he could to pass Alonso, but Alonso drove perfectly. He used every bit of the track, placing his car exactly right to stop Schumacher from getting past. Millions of people watched as Alonso, the newcomer, held off Schumacher, the 7-time world champion. Even though Alonso's car was slow on the straight parts of the track, he didn't lose his cool. He braked later and sped up earlier, driving in a way that even Schumacher couldn't beat. When Alonso crossed the finish line, just barely ahead of Schumacher, it was clear that things were changing in Formula 1. Alonso had raced against the best and won. Now, let's move to 2006 and the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. Alonso came to Japan in a tough fight for the championship with Schumacher. Alonso needed to do well to keep his hopes of winning alive. This race was exciting from the start. Alonso had to start from 5th place, while Schumacher started from 2nd. What happened next showed how good Alonso was at racing. He passed many other drivers, making bold moves and driving faster than almost everyone else. The race became a battle between Alonso, Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen. The big moment came when Schumacher's car broke down, forcing him to quit the race. Alonso saw his chance and eventually went on to win the race. This win was huge for Alonso. It hurt Schumacher's chances of winning the championship and gave Alonso a big boost. It showed that Alonso could perform well under a lot of pressure, turning what could have been a bad weekend into a great one that helped him win his 2nd World Championship. 6 years later, at the 2012 European Grand Prix in Valencia, Alonso gave one of the best performances ever seen in Formula 1. He started the race in 11th place at his home track, so no one expected much. But what happened in the next 2 hours was amazing. Alonso had a good start, but it was after a safety car period that he really shone. He passed other drivers one by one, each time in a more impressive way. His move to pass Romain Grosjean on the outside of a fast turn was so good that the commentators and fans were amazed. As other drivers had problems, Sebastian Vettel's car broke down while he was leading and Lewis Hamilton crashed into Pastor Maldonado, Alonso saw his chance. He pushed his Ferrari car as hard as he could, getting more out of it than anyone thought possible. When Alonso took the lead, the crowd in Valencia went wild. Inspired by his home fans, Alonso was unbeatable. He won the race in a way that seemed impossible at the start. This race showed everything that made Alonso special: his ability to do better than his car should allow, his smart racing, and his determination. Starting 11th and winning was impressive, but to do it in such an exciting way at his home race was truly legendary. Those 3 races, spread over 8 years, tell the story of Alonso's best years. We see him as a young champion proving himself against the greatest driver of the time, then as a mature 2-time champion securing his place in history, and finally as a veteran reminding everyone of his incredible skills. So, what do F1 legends have to say about Fernando Alonso? Well, check out this video to find out.